I ended up with this disaster. Turned it into this. Let me show you how it all unfolded. This project is actually two projects in one. The first thing we're going to do is build a mold, a reusable mold. And I'm using this PVC material, found it at my local home goods store. You could also use HDPE. I've looked up the differences between the two, and epoxy shouldn't stick to either of them. So once we get the mold done, then we're going to test it out by making a epoxy serving board. I kind of have an idea, a vision of where to go with the board, but first I want to start with this mold. The sides are cut at 24 inches. My base is 24 inches by 12. And then my ends are cut at 13 inches to overlap my ends. And so I'm gonna make 3 sides fixed, and then one side is gonna be removable. Then I'll be able to get underneath it and pop it out. Should pop out really easily. If I don't leave that option, I don't know how easy it's gonna come out. It should come out fairly easy, but if it doesn't, then I'm gonna ruin my mold. That defeats the whole purpose. All right, to start sealing the inside edges, I'm gonna be using hot glue. We'll come back with some silicone. All right, while this mold is drying, I cut these small pieces of the same material. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue 2 of them together, and I'm gonna create some feet. The whole reason for feet is to create some space that my clamps will be able to go underneath and clamp my piece of wood down. So these threaded inserts that I was going to use, that I have here, they're just, man, they just are too big. But basically what this does is this, I screw this into the PVC here, and then this gives it something where a bolt can, this will receive the bolt, if that makes sense. So what I'll end up doing is I'll order some of these. In the meantime, I'm just gonna screw. Using screws one time won't hurt it at all. So I already put the silicone on there. I am using Total Boat's thick set epoxy. So thick set can be poured up to 1 inch thick. Now with epoxies in general, there are so many different kinds. So it's really important to use the right kind for the right application. If I was to use a tabletop epoxy for these deeper pours, it would not turn out, wouldn't set up. So these are specially formulated to be poured deep. So the idea here is to pour 3/4 of the way down, not covering up. I want to leave some of this green of the first layer and see if I can kind of get an ombre effect doing that across. All right, so we want to pour this, the level, we actually do want to spill over a little bit the top to cover any of these cracks. All right, now we want this just on the end here. It's the next morning and it hit me. First thing I see is bubbles. Remember, I popped all these bubbles. But I forgot a very important step. So the reason these bubbles are on these edges of the wood is because there is air in the wood. So as it's seeping into the edges of the wood, the air of this wood, it's a natural living thing, right? So that air has to escape somewhere. The part that I screwed up on because I got excited was sealing the edge of these wood pieces. What you should do, take some clear epoxy and brush it on the edges of your wood where it's going to be sealed, and that will prevent this from happening. Noob mistake. So we're gonna see what this looks like and see if I can salvage this beautiful piece and get it out of the form and see what happens. I don't think this mold's gonna be reusable. Okay, so since this is an absolute disaster, geez, oh Pete, what a mess. This is easily my biggest epoxy fail of all time. So what do we learn here? Don't use PVC board, PVC sheets. Make sure you seal, don't forget to seal the edges of your live edge. Those are the two main things. HDPE is the way to go, but enough about that. Let's see if we can salvage this and make something beautiful out of it. I think the CNC just saved the day. All right, so what we'll have to do next is I'll square everything up. I'm going by 11 by 17 is my goal, which is a decent size for a serving board. So that's what this size is. That's why I've only surfaced those dimensions. These other ones will allow me, I'll take it over to the miter saw and the table saw and cut it to size. And then we can flip it over and use this side as reference and get it perfectly flat. I think it's going to be something salvageable. So that's great. I'm excited about that. So man, am I so glad I did not give up on this project. I'm telling you, it was looking pretty grim there for a while. I thought for sure PVC would work the same way HDPE does. I did research and honestly, I don't know why. I don't know why it didn't work, but it doesn't work. I would not try it. So the entire reason I wanted to make this board was for my wife, and she's gonna love it. Although I stumbled personally through this project, the process is still correct. If I would have done everything that I did, plus seal the edges of the live edge and used HDPE, not PVC, for the mold, and use mold release is another thing you could have done that probably would have helped the PVC. But I still wouldn't use it. This project would have been flawless. But you live and learn, and hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. If you want to see another video where I use epoxy, be sure to click right here. I'll see you in that video.